So what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to this channel, where in today's video I want to contest the fact that everybody seems to think that Richtofen's dead, and everybody seems to think that the Victis crew, which is the transit crew, will not get out of Blood of the Dead because they think that when you supposedly see Richtofen die at the end of the cutscene, that the map goes black and white, which then conveys the fact that this universe or this dimension will no longer exist, and that means that this universe will just destroy itself. This I don't think is the case, and I'm going to try my best to give you certain points to make you think otherwise in this video. So let's get straight into this video. First of all, within the 6th issue of the comic, they do meet Richtofen underneath of Alcatraz, and Richtofen gives them this proposal to basically freeze themselves underneath of Alcatraz, as he thinks it's the right thing to do. He also then tells them, when they don't believe him or they don't trust him, he says you could do that or you could do whatever you want to do, but both are equally as bad. So Richtofen almost forced him to say, you know what, screw it, we're going to go underneath of Alcatraz, we're going to get ourselves frozen. Hopefully when we get unfrozen things are going to be better. Once Richtofen freezes them, we then see the Zetsubou no Shima crew coming in, and they ask who the crew is. He says something along the lines of, don't worry, just like you, they're safe. So it's because of this comic right here that we understand that the Victis crew were frozen underneath of Alcatraz at the same time as the ending cutscene of Zetsubou no Shima. That's why we know that Blood of the Dead happens at the end of Zetsubou no Shima, before they then return back into the map of Zetsubou no Shima at the ending cutscene of Zetsubou. So that's the basis right there. That's how the transit crew got underneath of Alcatraz at the moment, and that is why they are currently there, for anyone who was a bit confused as to why they were there, who might not have read the comics. So going to the end of the Blood of the Dead Easter egg cutscene, the map goes to black and white, and people have assumed that this dimension can no longer exist, but we don't actually see anything other than the map going black and white. We do see Richtofen slouching his head forward as well, but this could just be him like trying to give up, or this could be Richtofen running out of blood and getting less energy or something along those lines. It doesn't necessarily mean that Richtofen's dead. But the map goes to black and white. We don't actually see it disappear. We don't see anything exploding or anything crazy like that. We just see it go to black and white, which, if you remember, the intro cutscene to Mob of the Dead starts off black and white. So this could be an entirely big loop where the ending of Blood of the Dead is in the beginning of the black and white phase, where then it leads into Mob of the Dead, where they managed to get it back into colour. Something that I think a lot of people has forgotten is the fact that the Mob of the Dead intro is in black and white for the most part. Now, I don't know if the characters in game themselves understand that the game's in black and white. Like, I don't know if the Mob of the Dead crew understand up until that point of where the black and white turned into colour that they were actually in black and white or not. I don't know whether that's something that the characters know or whether it's something more for just our eyes to see. But it's still very interesting that they reuse this sort of black and white theme in their maps. Now, if Blood of the Dead ceased to exist, then everything and everyone on Blood of the Dead will no longer exist. That's what it means when it says cease to exist. But what if the Blood of the Dead dimension is still around? If Richtofen is still alive, then the Victis crew can be saved. That's a given. There is a chance that Richtofen could save the Victis crew from those frozen pods in Richtofen's lab. Bear in mind that Richtofen is most probably the only person in the entire zombie storyline who can actually save him from these pods. As this is Richtofen's lab, and as Richtofen put him in there in the first place, he punched something onto a computer, he might have done a code or something, so only Richtofen has knowledge of like how to get him out of there. If it is a code, for instance, then he is the only one who's going to know that code, unless he wrote it down somewhere or he wrote down instructions of how to get the crew out of there. But for now, assuming that Richtofen is the only person who's able to get the transit crew out of those pods, that's very important for what I will be discussing in a minute. But also remember this when you consider Richtofen being dead. Richtofen is currently in the Warden's machine, and the Warden himself said earlier on in the Easter egg that he will use their bodies for a power source forever for his machines. He says that they will not die, and to me this is another piece of evidence which backs up the fact that Richtofen is still very much alive. So for people who believe that the Blood of the Dead dimension disappeared after Richtofen supposedly died, and the Blood of the Dead dimension just ceased to exist, we actually have evidence to support the fact that it did not disappear, like people are believing at the minute. One such piece of evidence is a radio that we get on Classified. Take a listen.
Richtofen! Hey, Richtofen! You've been gone from my head a really long time. I gotta be honest, I'm freaking out a bit, man. It's so quiet. I can actually hear myself think. Do you know what that's like? It's not nice at all. So, listen, buddy, old pal, we gotta talk. You sent us here, of all places, but you forgot to tell us what to do. It's dark, it's damp, it's just really filthy. I think the roaches are crawling with roaches. How is that even possible? Wait, shoot! Am I even talking to the right Richtofen? Oh, you could be the other one, right? Or the other one. Yeah, you know what? Just go talk to your Richtofen pals at the hoity-toity Ricky Gang Clubhouse and find out what the we're supposed to be doing!
If you didn't know, that was Studinger trying to contact Richtofen. He ends up contacting the wrong Richtofen, but that's beside the point for this point I'm trying to make right here. The fact that he has knowledge that there are multiple Richtofens mean that this takes place after we see the Victis crew going into the pods under Alcatraz, because this is the first time that we know of that the Victis crew came into contact with Richtofen and learns about the multiverse. And because Studinger knows about the multiple Richtofens and he learned about the multiverse moments before he got frozen, this can only mean that he recorded this after he got frozen. And because when Richtofen is in the blood machine at the end of Blood of the Dead, the Victis crew are still inside of the pods, this call is taking place after the end cutscene of Blood of the Dead. In the radio, Stu says, "You sent us here of all places, but you forgot to tell us what to do." I can at this point either take this to be Blood of the Dead, once they have been unfrozen and confused as to where they are, as being frozen for that long could have messed with their memory as to where they are, or this could be a foreshadowing for a future map, maybe between the events of Blood of the Dead and DLC 1 for instance, where Richtofen manages to survive, go downstairs to the pods and unfreeze the Victis crew within Richtofen's lab. Proceeds to tell the Victis crew everything he wants them to know, and then convince them to travel to another place or dimension. It could be that this call takes place after Richtofen sends them to this next place, which would mean that they would be way past Blood of the Dead. Blood of the Dead could be the first of many adventures that he sends the Victis crew on. Also, Stu says that it's a dark and damp place, which tells me this might not even be Blood of the Dead. As though it's an internally dark map, especially now the map is in black and white, I don't recall anywhere within the map that's damp or that has roaches. Stu could be referring to the lava around the map, but that isn't as much damp as it is a boiling hot magma. Or he could be referring to the minutes after walking out of their chamber, as they would have been frozen, so that means that they would have to get back to normal temperature and thus the ice would be melting off of them, making their clothes wet. But again, he starts off the call by saying you've been gone a really long time. So this most probably isn't the point at which they step out the pods, as they wouldn't know at that point just how long they've been frozen for. For now, this is all the evidence that I have to support the fact that Richtofen isn't dead, and that the Victis crew could still be alive and could still prove very pivotal to the storyline. The fact that we have the radio of Studinger trying to contact Richtofen after the events of Blood of the Dead tells me very much that the Victis crew one way or another got out of those pods and managed to survive, which if the case means that Blood of the Dead still exists, which means Richtofen must be powering that machine in order to keep things going, which in turn means that Richtofen isn't dead. So that's going to be it for this video. If you've got anything else to add to this, if you've heard any other radios, quotes or anything else which will further back up any of the points I've made in this video, or if it backs up the fact that Richtofen's still alive or the Victis crew will survive or anything like that, then put them down in the comments below and I'll make a separate video on that just to further explain on this point. But I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, if you did learn something new, then go ahead and like the video, and if you're new around here, go ahead and subscribe to the channel for more zombies content. And without further adu, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch all of you in the next one. Peace out.
If I could take you up in paradise on the ocean, if you will tell me I'm